Good morning, it is May 20th, 2018. I have finished week number 3, so it's time to check in and see how I made progress for the week. Okay, so this is week number 3. As you can see, the definition continues to improve across here. However, my numbers have gone a little wonky and they don't really make sense. They show that my body fat's gone way back up, but I show more definition. So I'm pretty sure that what that means is that I've had too much salt in the last week and then retained water. But this is relaxed and flexed. You can see that even without touching, this line is pretty much completely across here. It's more defined here. I barely have to do anything to make that lower line come around completely. So that's going to be in place within the next week or two. So I'm not worried about the numbers right now, even though my weight and everything looks a little strange this week. I think it's because I've just eaten some big meals and a lot of them were heavy with salt. Across here, this is pretty much gone. This fold here is pretty much gone. I would like this to flatten out more here. These pads are the stubborn part that I mentioned are going to come off last. But even the folds are smoother and flatter. And this is going to be the most stubborn part right here. It always has been on me and on most people. But otherwise, I think I'm leaning out fine. And I do feel that my musculature looks fuller and thicker. I feel stronger. So I definitely feel like I've made progress, though the numbers don't necessarily back that up. I do feel that visually I've made progress, so sometimes you just have to let the numbers go a little bit. Boom.
Okay, so I explained my grading system in the video for week 1, and the link for that will be right up here somewhere. I can never remember where it shows up, but if you want to understand how I'm grading each of these 8 patterns, you can watch that video. I'm going to try to keep these subsequent videos as short as possible. Pattern 1. Okay, breath. I used my breath consciously, purposefully, for each of my workouts. And I did check in throughout the day to make sure that I was taking deep breaths and using my breath to help myself throughout the day, and I did that 5 days out of 5. And so yet again, I'm giving myself an A for breath. Pattern 2. Okay, hydration. So my goal is 96 ounces per day. I did that 4 days out of 5. There's one day when I missed drinking a big glass, and so for that reason, I'm giving myself a B for hydration this week. Pattern 3. Okay, nutrition. So, food was really wonky this week, and I think that's why I have some strange numbers for this week. If you remember just a moment ago, my weight and my body fat percentage were both up. Now, last weekend I had wine and really salty food at my mother's house for her birthday, if you remember that from last time. So between that and a really off day, I think it was on Wednesday, I had only one meal and it was huge, and it was right before I worked out. I think it was for arms actually, so it might have been Thursday. Anyway, that meal was huge and it was also very salty. So I suspect that this uptick in weight and body fat is actually water retention. So I'm not worried about it just yet. We'll see if those numbers come back down this week. I'm going to really try to come back to my principled treatment of nutrition. So this week there was so much variation from the norm that in all honesty, I'm going to have to give myself an F for nutrition this week. I have to get back on track for that if I'm going to be ready in time in 5 weeks. So an F for nutrition. Pattern 4. Okay, strength. I did all 5 of my workouts this week. Sometimes they didn't feel very complete. I would lose my ability to focus, and I think that might be because of the way I'm timing my food actually. So although I did all 5 of the workouts, and although I got through them relatively quickly despite all the camera setup, I still feel that I didn't really work quite as hard as I could have if I had just been able to concentrate better. So I want to give myself an A for strength this week, but I honestly have to say that I know I could have worked harder, and frankly, setting up the camera is a major point of distraction. Last time I said I needed a camera minion, and for back on Friday, I did have a camera minion, and that helped significantly, but I don't know that I can always have him helping me. So I do have to figure out how to keep the intensity up for my workouts. I did all 5 days. I don't feel like they were 100%. Do I give myself an A? No. I give myself a B for strength this week.
Pattern 5.
Okay, 3rd week in a row for conditioning, and it's not part of the programming yet. I'm going to give myself a C, as I have the last couple of times. I anticipate adding it probably around week 5 or 6, depending on how I'm looking. I might not ever need it at all, so we'll just have to take it day by day. I don't want to risk losing muscle, so I won't add conditioning until I know I need it, and when I do, it'll be interval training.
Pattern 6.
Flexibility this week was actually better for me. I led flexibility sessions with my clients, as I have been doing. I did do my own stretching throughout each day, and I did actually take some time to specifically stretch problem areas like my shoulders and my hamstrings and glutes. So I really did set aside some care and energy and attention for flexibility and stretching this week. And not just flexibility, but also mobility, which is moving through a long range of motion using strength. So for flexibility this week, I need to increase my stretching some, but I did better, and I am going to give myself a B for flexibility this week, only because I know that I could have gone a little bit more purposefully through that. I gave myself a B last time. I'm going to give myself a B again because I know deep down that I could have done a more consistent job of working flexibility. So B for flexibility.
Pattern 7.
At the beginning, focus was one of my weak points, and I feel like I've gotten much better at it, or at least understanding better what I consider training for focus. I said my mantra each night while I was falling asleep, so there's that. I did not meditate, and I did not do my intentions. However, I'm not going to ding myself for that this time, because although I didn't do those forms of focus training, I did keep my accomplishment journal every day. I stayed very organized. I was very purposeful in my business. I was very purposeful with everything I want to accomplish for the week. I did a lot of research. Focus isn't just about concentration for me. Focus is also about maintaining drive and maintaining direction. So although I didn't meditate, and although I didn't recite those intentions, they were on my mind. And I didn't really feel particularly stressed out this week, so maybe that's an excuse, or maybe it's not, but I feel like I'm managing stress better now that I'm being more purposeful with my energy and what it is I'm doing, whether I'm working out. Eating was a flub up some this week, but generally speaking, I feel like I've already gotten better at focus. I got a lot done, and for these reasons, I'm going to go ahead and give myself an A for focus this week. I think I did well on that. Okay, rest. When I first started a few weeks ago, this was definitely my weakest point. It's improved. However, my goal is 7 hours of sleep a night. Ooh, you didn't say the word sleep. Wow. Blah. And I was only getting 6 to 6.5 hours. So by that measure, I would still be failing at rest. However, 6 to 6.5 by my standards is not terrible, not great. It's not my goal, but I did take a few hours off from working each afternoon this week to work out, or to come home and have lunch and visit with Kitty. I love my kitty. I napped a couple of times. I visited with some friends yesterday, so I really loved Carowinds. Going to ride roller coasters is like a mini vacation for me, and I didn't do that again. I have a season pass. I've only used it once so far this season. I need to make better use of it. I didn't go this weekend, so I do need to get out and go do that. It's fun. I'm also way overdue for a drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I have a convertible, and I like to put the top down. I like to put the top down on the convertible and just cruise the parkway and just let the mountains just take all my stress away. So I'm gonna give myself a C for rest because I need to get more sleep. I am like a child. I don't go to bed when I need to. For some reason, I have this tendency to stay up even though I could fall asleep, even though I could go to bed. For some reason, I feel compelled to stay up later than I ought to. So I could have had a B for rest this week, given everything else I did, but the purposeful self-sabotage on bedtime really does drag me back down to a C this week for rest. So as you can see, there is room for improvement. There always will be. I am never going to be perfect. Some weeks are better than others. The first week I gave myself a C+, then I bumped up pretty far to a B last week. However, the numbers are messing with me, and it makes me think that I have not been as purposeful with nutrition as I ought to have been, even though I was eating pretty clean. With everything else going on, I am giving myself a C this week. So this is actually, all things considered, the lowest grade I've had so far. So week 3 is definitely a low point in terms of my analysis, and yet at the same time, I feel like I've made progress for fitness. Yet again, this is integrate wellness, not integrate fitness. So I'm not just looking at whether I'm leaner and can lift heavier, it's am I taking care of myself? Am I breathing properly? Is the entire lifestyle doing well? And it could be better. So week 3 is a C.